Hello, my name is Gayatri and I am a student in IIM Tiruchi doing my first year in the PGP course. This is a project video for my course of Indian Economy and Policy and my topic is Rural Development in Tamil Nadu. Currently, there are several factors affecting the rural development including lack of adequate employment opportunities which is causing rural to urban migration, the frequent occurrence of droughts which is affecting both the agricultural produce and the demand for the produce, the growing erosion of cropped areas due to rapid urbanization and the dwindling water resources due to the lack of awareness of water as a resource which is leading to illegal water tapping and the wasting of water. These issues can be addressed through several measures which includes reinvigoration of the agricultural sector, the generation of gainful employment in order to reduce the rural to urban migration, the creation of sufficient infrastructure to support the employment opportunities, and also an importance to manufacturing based sector and strengthening the social services available in the rural areas. In the 12th plan, which spans the years of 2012 to 17, several objectives have been set for the rural areas, which includes reducing the poverty ratio to below 10%, addressing shelter requirements and providing street lights and infrastructure to the use of solar energy. Also, to improve the literacy rate, they are concentrating on creating a conducive environment in the schools. Then they are planning on increasing the water security by creating awareness of the importance of water as a resource, and they also want to increase the livelihood opportunities in order to arrest the rural to urban migration. Let us look at some social indicators of the rural areas in Tamil Nadu. The rural population growth in the decade of 2001 to 11 has been about 6.6%. However, looking at the percentage of population, which is 51.6% in 2011, Tamil Nadu has been showing a rapid decrease in the population in the rural areas compared to the all India rural population ratio of 68.8%. This factor started after the liberalization in 1991. The gender ratio in the rural areas in Tamil Nadu is only 993. However, it is better than the all India level of 949, though it still falls short of the urban gender ratio of 1000. Let us now look at the work participation rate. The work participation rate in the rural areas is actually much better than the urban areas. In the rural areas, it is currently at 50.7% in 2011, while in urban areas, it was only 40.2%. But the rural areas work participation rate has shown almost no increase in the decade of 2001 to 11, which indicates that there has been no innovative employment opportunities for the people. As for the marginal workers, it is higher in the rural areas at 18.7% compared to just over 10% in the urban areas. This is because the marginal workers are mostly employed in the seasonal avenues. Looking at the classification of workers for the 2001 to 11 decade, there are four types of workers who have been identified in the rural areas. They are the cultivators, the agricultural laborers, the household industries laborers, and the other workers who are employed in other areas. The cultivators and the agricultural laborers together form 65.2% of the total employed rural population in Tamil Nadu, which is actually a decline from 70% in 2001. Also, the cultivators have been showing a rapid decrease and instead the agricultural laborers have been showing some increase. This shows that the rural population is moving away from cultivation, which is more risky and uncertain, to agricultural laborers where there is at least a possibility of a more stable wage. Also, the household industries has been showing a slight decline from 4.8% in 2001 to 3.7% in 2011, but those workers who are employed in other areas has been showing an increase to about 31.1% in 2011. Looking at the literacy rate, the literacy rate in Tamil Nadu is actually better than the all India literacy rate. The rural literacy rate is at 73.5% in 2011 compared to the all India rural literacy rate of 67.8%. it does still fall short of the urban literacy rate of 87%. Also, the female rural literacy rate is at 65%, which is actually comparable to most of the states in India. Looking at the poverty ratio, the poverty ratio has declined by 21.7% in the 2001 to 11 decade, which is the third fastest decline in the entirety of India. The first is Orissa and the second is Maharashtra. Also, the poverty ratio in 2011 was 15.8%, which is the fifth lowest poverty ratio in rural areas in the entirety of India. The all India decline in 2001 to 11 in the rural poverty ratio is only 16.3%. The challenges to reducing poverty in Tamil Nadu has to do with how well the anti-poverty schemes can reach the beneficiaries to whom it has been intended, and also the effectiveness of moving employment from the farm sector to other areas in order to reduce the rural to urban migration. Looking at the household amenities, Tamil Nadu's rural population has very good household amenities, with 98% of them living in livable areas and 88% having dwelling rooms, the rest not having any separate rooms. And also the communication facilities in both the rural is very well developed in the rural areas, with 85.3% having television facilities. Even in the urban areas, it's 88.7%, so both are comparable. And also the 66.3% of the rural population has a mobile or landline connection. However, in the household amenities, there is the problem of illegal water tapping and leaking pipes, which is wasting water, and also it is creating problems in measuring the exact water consumption in these places. The Tamil Nadu government has given great importance to rural development, and the budget allocated is the third high in 2012-13 is the third highest in all of India. But the per capita budgetary expenditure in Tamil Nadu, which is rupees 3,207, is the highest in the entirety of India for the rural population. And they have also started several major schemes in order to develop the rural areas, which includes rural infrastructure scheme, rural sanitation, which is mainly aimed at improving the sanitation and the drainage facilities in the rural areas in order to ensure the health of the people, rural education, which is aimed at increasing the awareness of education so that the literacy rate can be improved. Then we also have the TN Village Habitations Improvement Scheme, which is also another awareness scheme. Then there is a scheme called the Wage Employment Scheme, wherein for the first time in the entirety of India, employment has been considered a legal right, and there is a great improvement in the wage dispensation through post offices and banks. However, since most villages don't really have post offices or banks, there is a problem for villagers in order to go and reach the banks and the post offices to get their wages. Besides that, there is also Tamil Nadu State Rural Livelihoods Mission and Pudu Valvu project, which aims at educating women and the scheduled castes and tribes in order to create their own employment so that they can be self-sustaining. Since the Tamil Nadu government has addressed most of the factors which are aimed at rural development, there are only a few recommendations which I can give. One is a recommendation at a more major level, where this has to do with the grassroots development of the rural areas. Currently, the panchayats have been given the responsibility. However, they don't have the planning capacity and the capability in order to create a sustainable rural development. Hence, I would like to suggest that the Tamil Nadu government create dedicated teams to each district such that they can work with the rural areas in that district and aim at creating proper sustainable development in the rural areas. This can be taken up by the IAS officers of each district. Then there is the problem of the wage suspension for the rural workers. This can be taken up by the panchayats, wherein for villages without post offices or banks, the panchayats can go to the post office or the bank and get the wage and then dispense it in the village as is required. But this does create a problem of transparency. Hence, the post offices can be given the responsibility of dispensing money as money orders to the required people in villages where the post offices are not available, while those villages which have banks can concentrate on giving the wages to the people through the banks itself. These are some of the recommendations I would like to give in order to improve the rural area in Tamil Nadu. Thank you very much.